Alright, so for the wavy paper sculpture, what you need first, and I didn't go through and show you guys, is I have created my paper that is going to become the sculpture. For mine, I used markers and watercolors together and just kind of drew, and then I put water and watercolors over the top of it. You could do this with crayon, with marker, with just a pencil. This part, really create, the biggest thing you want is you want to really make sure you have covered your space and your paper with as much color, as much design as possible. The less blank space you have, the better. So once you have that done, and I made sure to wait till mine was dry, I have my paper, then I have a second piece of paper. For me, I'm using construction paper. You can use white paper, newspaper, cardboard. This is really just a backer, but you will be able to see it some from where the paper waves. So do make sure it's a surface you like the idea of, even if it's blank. If you use like cardboard from a cereal box or something to put this onto, you want to make sure you either paint over it, color it, or use the plain brown side, not the side that has all of the writing and design on it. So I'm also going to need scissors. I'm going to need a pencil. I'm going to need glue, any kind, glue stick, regular glue, tape will even work for this. And then I'm going to need some way to make a straight line. So for me, I don't have a ruler at my house. I don't know why, probably should, but I don't. So I am just going to use a book because it's got a nice hard edge that's going to help me make a straight edge on my paper. So I'm going to set this stuff off to the side for right now. And I'm just going to have my paper, my straight edge, and my pencil to start with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over to the back so that I have that space there. And then I am going to just use my book to make a straight line. I want this kind of thick. The thicker you make your strip, the less strips you'll have. The thinner you make your strip, the more strips you'll have. But you want it to be straight up and down. Try not to get them going slanted because that's going to make this a lot harder. Also, this is the great book. So I'm just going to line that up. I'm going to draw a straight line down with my pencil, and then I'm going to slide the book over, trying to make about the same width, so the same thickness of that line each time. Does not have to be perfect. Just get it as close as you can, or you could try doing it at different widths. Have some thick, some thin, see how that turns out. It's never a bad thing to try and experiment and create something new or different. Maybe make one all even and you want to make a second with, you know, some different things. Try things out, go different with it. So once I have drawn my lines across the back of my paper, I'm done with my straight edge, or my book for that matter. I can set it off to the side. I won't need it again. And then I am going to grab my scissors at this point. So this point, I am just going to cut straight down those lines the whole way. And I'm still keeping it flipped over so it's easiest to see my line. And the nice part also with it being on the back and you not drawing this on the front is that if you mess up and your line goes crooked, you can just erase it on the back of it, redo it, and it's not going to mess up your design that's on the front because you have some line that goes through it or something like that. So it's not a big deal if, you know, you make a mistake, you go through. If you do make a mistake and you're on the front side or like that, we always know you can just kind of keep going. And I'm cutting these strips pretty straight, but some of mine I get a little off the line. It's not exactly perfect. They're not 100% straight. That is okay. So once I have all my strips cut, I am then going to flip them over. Now, here is the tricky part. If you kept them all in order so they still fit together, almost like a puzzle. Whoop, I think I got some out of order, maybe. That's right. Not some kind of piecing these back together. Like I said, kind of like a puzzle there. Whoop, gets a little close to the edge, but I don't want it to be quite on this just yet. So I'm going to kind of set this off to the side. So I want to make sure I have my back in order. If you can't quite tell, just get as close as you can. Or something you could do before you start with this is before you start cutting your strips apart on the back, number each of your strips. And that way you won't accidentally mix them up or get them out of order. If you do, like I said, get it as close as possible. It's not a big deal. So once I have mine in order, and I'm going to kind of stack mine up now in the order that I want to grab them, mostly so they take up less space on my table. If you've got a bigger table you're working on, you can leave them all laid out like that. So I'm going to have my backer paper here. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the first strip that I want on the very edge. Now my two papers are the exact same size. So I need to make sure mine goes all the way to the very edge or I'm going to run out of space when I get to the end of my paper. If this paper is bigger than your first one, then you have a little more space to play with. So for my first one, I'm going to do a dot right on the end of each one. Anywhere I put a dot of glue is where this is going to stick. So if I put a dot at the end, it's just going to make kind of one big curve, like a rainbow line that comes up. Now, the thing is, I want it on the very end, but it's going to come in a little bit on the top and bottom of this because that's where the paper is curving and it's getting smaller. So I'm going to press until it doesn't move, and you can kind of see that is how it's curving up right now. So then I'm going to grab my second strip, and I don't want this one to be the exact same. I want it to curve differently than this first one did. So I'm going to do one at the top, the bottom, and I'm going to do one in the middle. So this one I'm going to have glue and stick down in 3 points. So I'm going to line this up. I'm going to press the end, that, and then I'm also going, whoop, if I can get it, it's like I need 3 hands for this, gonna press down on the middle of it where that third dot was. And if it all flattens out, you can always pull up the parts later that don't, and I can kind of glue it down there. So now I see that one goes that direction. And I'm going to keep doing that. You can do it 2 ways and just alternate. Go 1 bump, 2 bumps, 1 bump, 2 bump. You can kind of switch it up. For this one, I'm going to always do one at the top and the bottom. And then this time, I'm going to do one close to the top here. So it's going to have 1 little bump and 1 bigger bump. So I'm going to kind of press once again, top and bottom, and line those up as best I can. And then I'm also going to line up that third dot and kind of press it down. And I'm keeping these pretty close together. If you get a little bit of a space, that's okay. But no, you may run out of space on the end of this if you're not. So that one kind of goes down like that. And then I'm just going to keep repeating this the whole way down. So I think I'm going to go back to just 1 big space. And I am trying my best to still make sure my paper strips are lined up and that I haven't gotten them out of order or flipped one upside down. But if you do, it's not the end of the world. The artwork's still going to look pretty cool. But this way you can just kind of see, even though they don't line up smooth flat together, where the designs go together there. So I'm going to kind of keep repeating this one again. I did top, bottom, and middle. So it's going to kind of make that M shape to it. And I'm trying my best to line these up as I can. Didn't quite stick. Need to hold it a little bit longer. It is better. These first 2 here, I left a little bit of a space. The rest of them, I tried to really keep right on top of each other, and that is going to create better. If that does happen, you can always try and carefully kind of peel it up. You just want to be really careful that you don't rip and kind of scooch it over if you do realize that happens. if the glue is already dry, it is always okay to just kind of leave that where it is and let it keep going. I am going to get out of the pattern I was doing a little bit, and instead of going to just one big bump, I am going to do the bump where it's 2 again, just so it's not always the exact same. And then for me, I ran out of space right here, so I can either leave it like this and just not include the last piece, or I can include it and just have it where it hangs off the edge of the paper a little bit, which is what I'm gonna do. But it's really up to you. Either way works. You don't have to have a certain number of pieces for this to work. You just want to be careful that you're not getting glue on the table if it comes off the edge, that you didn't put glue on the part of the paper that's not touching that bottom part. I'm going to hold that, and then it's done, and you can kind of look at it, and it's really cool, especially if it's put up, and you can kind of see how all of those waves and different things look. So it's really cool. And this would be a relief sculpture because it has a flat back where it could hang on a wall like a painting, but it has a sculptural texture where it puffs off the wall there. So I hope you guys have time to do this. I hope you have a lot of fun. I hope to see some of your images, and I hope you keep creating. Until next time.